Hi, and welcome to episode number 14 of Slot Leader, a Cardano finance podcast where we bridge the gap between the world of traditional finance and the world of blockchain technology. I'm your host, Umed Saidov, and in today's episode, we will be exploring the idea of using a blockchain technology such as Cardano as a form of payment. Our guest today is Alfred Moesker. He is the hotel owner out of Barcelona who has decided to accept ADA as a form of payment. As far as I know, he is the first business, or the first hotel to be exact, who has that has accepted ADA as a form of payment. And in today's episode, we'll be discussing his experience and his perspective and his reasoning why he decided that ADA is a good form of payment. So stay tuned. There's a lot of interesting information coming from him, and I hope you enjoy the episode. If you are a Cardano stakeholder who would like to support this podcast, you may do so by delegating your stake to Skylight Pool. Skylight Pool is a professionally managed Cardano stake pool that's been there since the ITN, and we've produced a lot of blocks and a lot of great rewards for our stakeholders. So if you're looking for a pool to delegate to and you like the type of content that we're putting together, you might want to consider our pools. The tickers are Sky and Sky2. As always, I would like to remind our viewers and listeners that Slot Leader is an educational podcast, and as such, we do not provide investment, financial, tax, or legal advice. From Elon Musk's inquiry into Bitcoin and its ability to process large transactions to the price of Bitcoin itself, which almost reached $24,000, last week has been quite event-packed for the blockchain industry. But there's another type of news that came out of the United States government that warrants a closer look in today's episode. On December 18th, the U.S. Department of Treasury published a press release on their website where they outlined their proposal to regulate the U.S.-based cryptocurrency exchanges to provide identifying information on what they call an unhosted wallets. According to this press release, the unhosted wallet is basically any wallet that is not hosted by a regulated entity. And that's basically your personal cold wallet or hardware wallet. So according to these regulations, the proposed regulations, if the transaction amount is greater than $3,000, the cryptocurrency exchange will have to require you to identify yourself or whoever is sending that transaction as the owner of that unhosted wallet. Now, according to the lawyers that I follow in this space, these types of regulations are not quite effective in enhancing the ability of law enforcement to basically pursue the bad actors, while at the same time they create deadweight losses in the economic system or economic sector of cryptocurrencies. And more importantly, according to some of these lawyers, these types of regulations actually stifle growth and innovation. And they bring up a very good issue of the cryptocurrency exchanges not being able to directly interact with smart contracts, for instance. In Cardano's ecosystem, we saw the release of KEVM DevNet. This DevNet is a sandboxed environment, for those of you who don't know, where the developers, specifically Ethereum developers who are well-versed in Solidity, can come in and play and deploy their smart contracts in Cardano's ecosystem. I will leave the link to that DevNet in the comment section of this video. So if you are a developer who is curious about how things might work in Cardano's ecosystem, deploying the Ethereum based contracts, you may try to test out this DevNet and let us know what you think. Hi, everybody. We have Alfred Moesker today with us. He is the owner of the hotel in Barcelona, and he is the first business that I know, at least the hotel business, that accepts ADA as a form of payment. I would like to welcome Alfred. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much, Umut. Congratulations with the success of your show, the Slot Leader podcast, and thank you for having me.
Yes, it's always great to reach out to the community members when I talk to you and other members here that have ideas about adoption and bringing businesses that are real cash that have attached cash flows into the Cardano's ecosystem. Can you tell us a little bit about your decision, how you decided that ADA is the good
Mm.
form of payment and a payment rail for your business?
Yes, well, I mean, how we knew about Cardano turns out it was sort of very similar to how many people got to know it. In 2017, we learned about Bitcoin, initially just by a friend recommending it and strictly as a form of investment. Then we started to investigate and we learned that the idea behind Bitcoin is actually to create an alternative way of financial global system and also a way of sending money from A to B and by eliminating the middleman. And that's obviously very interesting because, as we all know, there's people in particularly developing countries that are being tremendously overcharged for receiving their funds, and they're sort of pushed out of the financial system. And then we dug further, and then we saw the whiteboard video of Charles, and we learned that by then we had found out by our own experience that Bitcoin has some problems. We tried to send Bitcoin. Sometimes we had to wait for hours. It wouldn't go. It's expensive. And then we found out about Cardano. We found this little interview, this little article on the internet, and the whiteboard video in which Charles explained that he was interested in solving the three problems that Bitcoin has, and that he was doing it with a very scientific approach. And so the whole seriousness of the whole thing and the whole presentation just struck me as something that we felt compelled to, to want to put our weight behind. So rather than accepting Bitcoin, we accepted we decided to accept ADA. And you're right, we were the first business in the world to do so.
Fascinating. Just for the viewers out there, and it's amazing to have somebody with business experience and actual live business to talk about these issues. Can you tell us how much did you save when you switched from, let's say, Visa and Mastercard? How much do they charge compared to what you get when you use ADA?
Well, usually when you accept, I mean, they have usually have a contract. There's different types of contracts, but for example, we have a contract with with our private bank, which sort of acts as an intermediary between Mastercard and Visa. And I think the rates for every transaction, the commission is maybe it either goes by cents or it goes by percentage. I think maybe you pay like a fixed percentage, and then there's like a little fee for every transaction that you make. But it might up to as much as 3% on any transaction. It also depends whether it's in Europe or in Spain or whether it's intercontinental, and then it can go up to as much as maybe even 4 or 5%.
Oh wow.
Whereas with ADA, receiving ADA doesn't cost me anything. I mean, it only costs the person who sends the amount. Currently, one ADA, I think, which is the current price of ADA, maybe 15 cents. So there's no comparison.
Yeah, and I think
Additionally,
in ADA you don't actually have to pay as a percentage of the sum you're sending. So you could send millions of dollars for 17 cents, or not 17 cents. It's like 17 ADA even. It's like a fraction of
mhm,
of a dollar. Um,
correct.
and you could send $5 for that much. I think it's a point 17 ADA or whatever is the minimum transaction cost. Maybe one ADA is the minimum for wallets. So that makes it about 15 cents or 16 cents.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, which is incredibly interesting for anybody to find out because I mean, for us, even living in a modern Western society, sometimes I would like to make a bank transfer in the weekend, and I make the transfer on Friday, and the money doesn't arrive until Monday. Whereas if I use ADA in this case, just with the simple click of a button, 5 seconds later the money arrives where I want it to go.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just completely revolutionary.
It is fascinating, isn't it? I mean, I come from the banking industry again, it's it's fascinating that this technology exists and it's not being adopted widely. And I mean, I paid somebody in UK one day. The money arrived within 5 seconds, and you know, nobody is involved unless he wants to go and cash it out. And you don't have to touch the traditional financial rails at all. So once we have, I think the stable coins like US dollars or pounds or
Correct.
euros, then it becomes a completely different game because you don't even have um, the main arguments against cryptocurrencies being
Mm.
too volatile or whatnot,
Right.
because you're going to be sending the digital form of fiat currency.
Exactly.
Yes. So, can you tell us a little bit more about your hotel? What is it? How much, how many rooms you have,
Mm.
and how long have you been operating?
Okay, so we discovered is the right word, as a matter of fact. The hotel in 2013, because we came from Rome. We've been hotel operators in Rome for more than 20 years. And at some point, we decided to leave and chose Barcelona as a nice Mediterranean destination and very huge tourist market. As a matter of fact, Barcelona is or at least before the pandemic, was the third most popular destination in Europe, even I think after London and Paris. So we took over the hotel in 2013. We renovated it. Initially, it only had 10 rooms because it was like an old little pensione style that was run by an old lady with her son. And then 4 years later, we were able to add another floor. So now there's a total of 18 rooms. And the hotel is located on the central square of Barcelona. It's an amazing location because it allows you to go anywhere in a matter of minutes. I mean, I would probably estimate that maybe 90% of all the tourist sites, well, 80% of all tourist sites are probably within a 20-minute walk from the hotel. And it's very much an international tourist hotel. We have people, anybody who have internet can make a reservation and can come here. So all through the year, we have people coming in from Europe, the States, Australia, Asia, South America, anywhere. So it's a nice place. There's a nice ambience.
Yes, I can see that, talking to you earlier before this recording, that Barcelona could be a very prime location for businesses that would accept Cardano ADA and for adoption in general. Can
Absolutely.
you tell us a little bit about um, how a person could choose to whoever wants to pay in ADA would actually go ahead and do that? Is there any way? How did you integrate the payments? And can I go into your website and then reserve the room paying ADA? How does it work?
Well, no, it's not integrated yet. This has been something that we've been thinking about over the last couple of years. Because when we got to know, first of all, Ada, and also then we got to meet, Charles in person, and people that we were present at a meeting in Lisbon. And at the time, the only thing the technology permitted was basically just to send Ada up and down from A to B. So in that scenario, the only thing that was really feasible was for people to make a reservation not through a reservation operator like Booking Expedia, but only through our own website. And then they would come in a hotel and they would maybe make the payment on arrival or at checkout. The whole the whole idea behind it is to create something whereby you can integrate the whole reservation flow into the whole payment of ADA rather into the reservation flow. And this wasn't possible years ago because basically the technology was still lacking. But now with the coming of Gogan and smart contracts, all these things are opening up. So we'd be extremely interested in the sitting at a table again with the people of IOG, as it's now called, and maybe we can use the hotel as a prototype for other hotels and other types of businesses, and see how we can integrate the sending of the making of payments, for example, with other channel managers, because that's what I called the intermediaries between businesses and, for example, hotel reservation systems like Booking and Expedia. So rather than just wondering about how we personally can benefit from accepting ADA, to me, it would be interesting to find out how to integrate it into the common technology. So we really go to the masters with this product.
Absolutely. Have you had any conversations with these booking sites and booking companies about integrating ADA? Do you think they're open? What are the challenges that you might think of?
Yes, very good question. I noticed that, of course, there's Facebook who's coming out with their version of a cryptocurrency, which is not really such at all. But they sort of creating a consortium of companies that are sponsoring them. This is now like a year ago, and I noticed that, as a matter of fact, Booking.com was one of them. So, because to me, it's always been extremely obvious that if you're trying to achieve for many people in the world to accept your product, the hotel booking industry is extremely suited because it makes people move from A to B, from one country to another. So, I mean, personally, I haven't interacted with them. I think this is not my job. This should be the job of maybe the Cardano Foundation. I do know that there's another company. I think they're called Travelon, something very similar. And I think they are now accepting ADA also at payment. They've made an integration. But I mean, if any companies like this are interested, they should speak to maybe to Emergo or to the Cardano Foundation or to IOG, to make that decision. And the challenges that I see um, is there are many. I mean, it's just a matter of coming to some kind of a commercial agreement. The technology now exists, and it's just a matter of integrating one with the other. So in a matter that everybody can benefit, including the customers, because you don't want to integrate with this this huge colossus reservation portals, and then back to the old commission model. This is where the problem lies. You have to do it in such a way that the customers benefit from it, because
Yes.
otherwise it's like back to before. So
Yes. So that's and then if you don't have commissions, I wonder if you know, and if you don't know, that's fine. I wonder if the companies like bookings.com get sort of commissions from Visa or MasterCard for being able to like accept or roll out these products on their website or accept these payments or be intermediaries.
I do not know, but if I had to bet my life on it, I would say yes. I
Okay.
mean, it seems very obvious.
So it looks like in order to be able to integrate these businesses into the payment rails or integrate ADA into this businesses, we need to have some form of commissions. But regardless, I think even if the commission that they get from Visa, let's say that the Visa, charges the end customers 3 to 4%, and then let's say they give the booking.coms of the world, because of sheer volume of usage of the network, they give, let's say, 50 basis points or 0.5% of these commissions to these entities in order to integrate these payment rails. Now, we could have a situation whereby, and this is just basically speculation,
Yes.
whereby we could say, okay, well, we will integrate these payment rails and charge 50 basis point, or maybe even a little bit more, 60 basis points. But the savings for the customer would be, the rest of the money that would have gone to Visa will go to directly to the consumer, and that's going to be still a great selling point for both parties. This is
Yes.
a classic case of efficiency that comes into the market and disrupts some of the incumbents. But at least the consumer benefits, and there is incentives in some of the incumbents to actually accept these payments.
Correct, but that's from the point of view of the reservation portals. This is not the only advantage, because they're not stupid. They know that there's a movement, the blockchain cryptocurrency movement, and it's going to very soon. I think it'll be a huge market segment. So if they don't get in, somebody else will. It's very simple. I mean, the normal payment systems are. I mean, now, as we all know, PayPal entered the cryptocurrency sphere only how long ago was that? Maybe 2 months ago. It
Yeah.
seems like a lifetime. And this is only the beginning. So we know that we've all been waiting for the moment where the blockchain revolution would be starting. Ever since we all discovered it, maybe as far back as 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. And it seems very evident that this moment has now finally arrived, and all the institutional money is flowing in. So I think that they'll have to, even if they don't want to, they're going to have to terms to the fact that a new payment system has come on the scene, and if they don't do it, somebody else will. So it's that simple.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. And I think, once you see your customers moving in that direction, so you want to go there. Otherwise, how many how many businesses out there accept banking checks, for instance, right? That was the original sort of form of payment, right?
Yes.
But it has its drawbacks. I mean, I can still deposit checks in my bank account, but pretty much nobody uses them anymore,
No, I know.
in the US at least. Can Now, I would like to take our viewers and listeners to the question of how efficient your business has been with, accepting the ADA. Do you have a lot of customers? And we're talking about pre-COVID era. Let's just move ourselves to pre-COVID era
Yeah.
when things were normal. Did you
Mhm.
have a lot of people come in and pay with ADA? And have things changed between then and now, at least in terms of reservations or the level of interest of customers that you're getting in terms of paying with ADA?
Well, you said let's pretend that COVID, go back to the pre-COVID area, but we closed the hotel in March of this year, so that's nearly a year now. So you can't really pretend it didn't happen. But I mean, from the point that we decided to accept ADA to pre-COVID, it was only 2 years,
Okay.
and I mean everything was it hasn't really evolved to any spectacular point yet, because like I told you before, we are waiting to be able to integrate the technology that Cardano is supposed to be providing, like now with the rollout of Gogan, and this will finally allow us to integrate it in all the flow of reservations and the payment flow, etc. We had a lot of initial interest when we first started accepting ADA, because IOG found out about it. They happened to have somebody in Barcelona who came to interview us, and then they posted on the IOHK blog, which was read by many people, and especially in the period, maybe the 2 or 3 months after that, there was a lot of interest. We got a lot of emails, and people were calling, people were walking through the door. There was a Japanese gentleman that I remember came to ask very excitedly through the door, and he said, "Is it true that you're accepting ADA?" And we said, "Oh, yes." And he said, "When I come back, I will stay here," because he was already staying in another hotel in Barcelona. He made the efforts to come and visit us, especially. And then he had one of his devices, iPad, and he showed us the balance of his ADA, and he said, "This is my retirement money." So he was super excited. So we've had a lot of those, up personal experiences. We met tons of people. What has changed, I think, has not so much been in the hotel as such. What has changed for me on a personal level is that now when I meet friends and I talk to them and I start blabbing on about Cardano and ADA as I used to, then in quite a lot of cases they say, "What? You too?" And it turns out they also follow Cardano and they also have ADA in their wallet. And so I can tell by just meeting people and interacting people in my personal space that adoption is happening right under our noses.
No, that's great to see. So have you seen a gradual uptick in interest? Because you are one of the sort of prime examples of customer facing businesses where you could immediately see the effect of adoption right reflected on your businesses. And the reason why I mentioned pre-COVID, because you don't have that information right now, but
Yes.
normally these kind of businesses, they have the first hand sort of experience. So let's say that last month 2 people came in,
Mhm.
paid with ADA, and then fast forward 6 months into this sort of launch, and you could
Mhm.
have like 3 or 4. Was the train upward in that regard, or how, considering the seasonalities and everything too, but did you see a growing sort of number of people approaching and paying with?
Um, in the, like I said, in the hotel itself, it was sort of stable from the moment that we launched the acceptance of ADA, and that the block came out. Then there was COVID.
Okay.
But what I can see a lot is on social media, because I mean, I also, tweet. I have a Twitter account where I say things about Cardano, and here I can tell that I get a lot of reactions for people that say, "Oh, you're the guy with the hotel in Barcelona," and as soon as the pandemic is over, we'll be coming to visit. So in that, I can really tell the response has grown a lot, and I think I'm really looking forward to it, because when COVID is finally finished, when we're done with it, and things go back to normal and people start traveling again, I would really love to implement new business models and sort of rethink everything about how to make reservations, how to accept payments, how to integrate both, and really strongly start marketing not only the Cardano community but the whole crypto community, as such. I mean, that's really where I would like to take this hotel and convert it, to almost like a crypto hotel, but more than a crypto hotel, a Cardano hotel, because yay Cardano. So,
Why bother with the rest? I don't want to
yeah,
sound
exactly.
like a maximalist because I,
Yeah. Well, I don't want
but
to, don't want to discriminate anybody, but I mean, there's some cool projects out there. But
yeah. Um, now I know from the posts you have on Twitter that you are changing the name of hotel into the Hotel Cardano. Uh, how is that coming along?
right, so the original initiative was, well, the reason why it happened, because we're sort of struggling struggling to stay open with the hotel, obviously through COVID. It seems like we'll be able to manage, but we also run with the hotel. We also run a stake pool, which is now called Hotel appropriately, and of course, a stake pool is also not only a way of participating in the ecosystem of Cardano, it's also a way of maybe making a little bit of extra money, a little income, which doesn't hurt, in the current economical conditions, climate. And then it occurred to me that how can I get more exposure, and what at the same time, what can I do? What can I give back to the Cardano community to sort of convince them to delegate to my stake pool? Because there's lots and lots of nice, good, great projects out there. It's really evolving. So the idea that occurred to me was that if people would delegate to our stake pool, then we would offer to change the name of the hotel from Hotel Ginebra to Hotel Cardano, and the effect would be the following, as you can see. So, this is Photoshop, but I mean, this is what we're hoping to achieve. So yeah, it was great. I mean, it really gave it a boost. At the moment, we reached, I think, we went up to maybe 36 million. Now we're flatlining again, because I think at the same time all these new projects are coming to market as well, all these new stake pools. But it's a Hotel Cardano challenge. It's still on. We're still hoping to reach the 64 million ADA goal. And if we do, then what you see behind me might become reality. So let's hope
Perfect.
so.
Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are staking with Cardano community, if you're a Cardano community, please consider staking with the Hotel Cardano, Hotel Cardano stake pool, and their ticker is Hotel. It would be great to see actually this materialize and have a place for everybody to get together in Europe.
Mhm.
Now, Alfred, there's another question that I wanted to ask you and kind of explore this idea, right? You said that you have 18 rooms at this point. Is that
Correct.
right? Do you think have you thought about expanding? You mentioned in an offline conversation we had, you mentioned that there could be possibilities to expand this hotel, add more rooms, and the hotel business and the customers are there all the time, so it probably won't be empty. And do you think about um, raising funds using the Cardano rails or the Cardano platform as a fund sources of funding, and maybe tokenizing it a little bit?
Well, the answer is yes, because what people don't realize about our hotel is that it's located on the central square of Barcelona. Barcelona happens to be the economical and business and financial engine of the whole of Spain. So I mean, having such a prime location is really like an incredible billboard, for any business. And it's not so much about expanding the hotel, because I don't think we'll be able to expand more rooms. But what we do have is that we have an additional couple of rooms. One used to be an old breakfast room, but before breakfast room, it was a meeting room. And we're thinking of turning this space into a Cardano orientated space. So it could be a place where people that live in Barcelona come, and we welcome them, and we show them how to set up a deadless wallet, for example. It could be for the Cardano Foundation themselves, if they would like to have people like a place, if they're looking for a place in Barcelona where they to use as an office space. And then there's another room which I'm thinking of converting permanently into a podcast room, because it sort of sits there by itself. It is not used and it's very quiet, so it might be also might be another great initiative.
Perfect. Yes, I remember Charles mentioning the initiative of having Cardano hubs, and I really love this idea because
No, it's great.
if you want to promote adoption and promote your technology, places like Barcelona, New York, Washington D.C., Berlin, Moscow, these centers of economic activity,
Exactly.
and where a lot of population density with a lot of population density could be the prime examples and prime locations for these kind of initiatives, where you would disseminate the message, get people on board. And I hope the Cardano Foundation will start funding these initiatives, because it's directly within their mandate to develop the community.
Exactly.
And they've done a great job with the online community development. But I think it is time, as we start rolling out Goguen, to start, laying the foundation for the in person, or brick and mortar sort of locations where they could
Correct.
actually have people help the community and build awareness about the project. I remember I was one of the first people who I started the meetups in DC, Washington
Oh,
DC.
really?
And
Oh,
it
cool.
was really tough at that time, because I got no funding, I got no support. Unfortunately, the Cardano Foundation at that point was completely run by somebody else. And I did it all out of my, because I loved the project. I did all of it, paying out of my own pocket.
Out of pocket, yeah.
Yes, and I've done a couple of them, and it at some point I realized that it's getting too expensive to have
Sure.
beers and the nachos and all that for people. I mean, I was really excited about the project, and I really love everything that the Cardano community and the Cardano
Yes.
has achieved. But I think we need a wild scale support for
Absolutely.
places like
Absolutely. Yeah.
this. And your hotel is a central location, as you say. Remind me, what's the occupancy rate when pre-COVID on in your hotel?
Our hotel is well, it's always full
Okay,
because
18
being
rooms, I
the
guess.
location. No, you can imagine that the location is comparable to in the New York. What do you have? Times Square,
Mm,
or in London you have Leicester Square. In Amsterdam you have the
Red
Calver,
District.
the Dam. In Berlin you have Amarienplatz. It's one of those places, so we don't have to worry about the occupation rate. It's more about optimizing the occupation. So this is why it's interesting to introduce cryptocurrencies. But if I can go back just for 1 second on the topic of hubs, I know that there's now this ongoing conversation in between the Canal Foundation and an IOG. But I'm already ahead of them because I already have a place which is a hub to all effect. So this is why I hope they're listening, and also why Barcelona is such an interesting place to create a hub, because it's very twofold. Because Barcelona is the most technological orientated city of Barcelona, of Spain, excuse me. It's the business center, not Madrid. Madrid is the government. Barcelona is where they do business, right? For example, there's a massive exposition here every year. It takes place at the end of February, the beginning of March, which is called the World Mobile Congress. Okay, and all the biggest technological companies in the world in these 4 or 5 days come to Barcelona, and they meet. And Google, Amazon, Facebook, you name them, Samsung, anybody you've ever heard of, they're all here, and they interact and they make contracts. Now, only the presence of the World Mobile Congress in Barcelona would justify having a hub here, because you can make preparations the whole year long to set up all your business meetings that would generate that would such an event would generate. So this is one thing on the one hand. On the other hand, what nobody knows, and which I didn't realize until I came to live in Barcelona, is, for example, the service industry. It's not populated by people from Spain or Barcelona, mostly, or Catalonia. Mostly, this is people that come from Latin America or South America. There's huge populations here from Ecuador, Venezuela, Paraguay, Colombia, you name it. Tens of thousands of them. Maybe I don't know how much, but I know, for example, the Ecuadorian community already consisted last time we counted it, and more than 35,000 people. Add on all the other ones from all the Latin and South American countries, I think you'll probably reach a couple of 100,000 people. Now, the function of a hub, in my opinion, is to go to the people that might use Cardano in whatever shape or form, and to introduce it to them. Now, these are typical the people that should be introduced to Cardano. As a matter of fact, I've done it myself. I've introduced a couple of friends of mine from Honduras and Ecuador to ADA. They open a wallet in 1 minute because they straight away they want to send ADA the funds back home. So having a place like our hotel, office space in our hotel on the central square of Barcelona, in the most popular business city of Spain, and would, in my opinion, allow you to, in very, very brief time, to construct like a whole network of hubs in the whole of Spain. So I hope they're all listening, because we're ready to go tomorrow.
No, that's perfect. I think I agree with you. It looks and sounds like a perfect location for a hub to reach Central America also.
Exactly.
And this is the place where people come, as you said earlier, to earn money and send money into, as remittances. It's a perfect use case for ADA, as you mentioned before. And yes, so to wrap it all up, I heard that you guys are creating a new podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I guess because there's so many cool podcasts out there, and yours including. So I guess we felt we couldn't stay behind, being the first business in the world to have ever accepted ADA. So I've done 2 episodes. It's a huge learning process, as you probably agree yourself. But again, once again, I'm putting myself out there in for the common cause of promoting Cardano. It's called the Cardano Hotel. Is the name of the podcast. I'll be taping the next episode in 1.5 hours from now with another esteemed guest, and yeah, it's lots of fun. And well, I guess whatever we can do to give Cardano more exposure, it's always a bonus. So, and then we'll see where it takes us.
Perfect. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this was Alfred Moesker, the hotel owner in Barcelona. The hotel name is Hotel Ginebra. And if they get to the saturation point of 64 million ADA in their pool hotel, they will rename it to Hotel Cardano. It was great having you here, Alfred. As one of the last questions that I ask, I would like to, basically ask you to tell me, it's a closing question, to tell me what your expectations of the price of ADA is for the end of this year and end of next year.
Well, I mean, we've already come very close to the end of the year. Today is October 18th, perhaps.
Yep.
I'm losing track of time.
December.
And I'm not even sure what the current price of ADA might be in the moment. I think we're around 17 cents.
16.2, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to call it at 22 cents at the end of this year.
All right.
Regarding next year, by the end of 2022, I think we're looking dollars and not cents.
2021, end of 2021.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much again, Alfred. This was Alfred Moesker, the owner of the Hotel Ginebra, which is effectively going to be a Hotel Cardano if he gets his 64 million ADA, and the new host of Hotel Cardano podcast. Thank you again for coming to our show.
Thank you very much, Umad. It was a huge pleasure, and good luck with Slot Leader. And this is one of my favorite shows, so keep pushing it.
This marks the end of our episode today. I hope you like the interview and the type of content that we're putting together. And if you do, please do not forget to subscribe, like, or comment on our videos. It really helps us a lot to build awareness about Slot Leader. I'm your host, Umed Saidov, and I will see you next time.